Hey guys, it's Schlag here, and I'm here with Partyman,
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
and today we're gonna play some Splatoon, and then we're gonna talk about the Nintendo Switch Lite that just got announced. So, you wanna start us off?
The Switch Lite. Very intriguing. I think it's a cool announcement. Um, can't wait to talk about more, but for starters, I think it's the genius idea on Nintendo because essentially what this will do is going to replace the 3DS market and the Nintendo, like for example, the new Nintendo 3DS and the new Nintendo 2DS, it flew off the shelves. People were buying those like crazy. So this is going to sell hockey. Pokemon Sword and Shield coming out. Animal Crossing is gonna sell. What did you take on this slide?
I thought I was expecting it, like everyone else. The only thing that struck me is that the limitation of not being able to play motion control games.
Mm-hmm.
So they say 1-2 switch in like the trailer of it, but like what I thought of was like Let's Go Pikachu, which is like a game that is like handheld, like advertised, and you can't play it without having an extra Joy-Con now. So you're forced to use wireless controls on it. And like, what if they make another or they start making other games like that that utilize the motion controls that are like kind of more better portable?
You know what?
So like that's a limitation
That up
of it.
because yeah, actually it's a really good point because for example, this game right here is what do. This game has what's called gyro control, and this is actually pretty crucial for pro Splatoon players. And this is actually something I'm currently using as well. So it actually is not part of the Switch Lite, or not. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it works for certain games. Like for example, Mario Party that require it. It actually doesn't work in handheld. You actually have to play a tabletop or on the TV with Joy Cons. So I'm actually glad you brought that up because certain games are not going to be as playable or even playable at all due to that limitation. So I'm glad you brought that up, Schlag.
Yeah, I did see that they've extended the battery power of it, which is a nice touch
Mm-hmm.
on the Switch, even if it is limited by like what game you're playing. But that's like with any of the with the base Switch as well. It can be longer or shorter depending on the game, but that's nice that they were able to like shrink the Switch but still be able to extend the battery life for it being a
Yeah,
handheld.
I definitely agree, and it was interesting because bring up some concerns they have of the idea of the Switch Mini before it was announced as a Switch Lite. Like for example, that it was going to be weaker. The unfortunate part, limitation, that like them doing a Switch Mini doesn't dictate is not determined by um, like ceramics it being weaker. That doesn't really make
Yeah,
sense.
like smaller doesn't
Um,
equal weaker device.
yeah, it just means that they're
Compact everything.
like yeah, exactly like it means now, which is like a better battery life and well, let's see, like little things that make it like more power efficient
Mm-hmm.
overall. So that's the key, and to make it for a compact form factor for like kids, for example, or people can pick it up for a cheap price. Which is another thing I wanted to bring up is that it is way cheaper. It's $100 cheaper than the original
Yeah.
Switch, which just automatically boosts sales. So
Yeah,
Nintendo, they're very
automatically
smart
the
with
people are
this.
gonna see it and be like, oh, well, we're probably gonna buy this. But then
Hmm.
that comes back to not being able to play motion control games, so you would have to buy separate Joy-Cons and the price jacks right back up,
Hmm.
because Joy-Cons are fairly expensive, or if you get a Pro
I
controller,
have
still
to agree there.
expensive. So the $199 price tag is reasonable for the Switch, but when you still have to buy additional controllers to play certain games, it does slightly crawl right back up to the base Switch, but not
Hmm.
quite there yet.
Yeah, like for like, do you feel that this is something that you would pick up, or are you going to pass on?
Like, from what I've seen, like, personally, I wouldn't mind actually picking one up. I don't know if you saw, but in November they're gonna release the Pokemon one. The one for Sword and Shield.
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
With the 2 legendary Pokemon on it, and like, I wouldn't really mind having like a Switch to just take on the go. And to just only use for handheld games, and then have like the current base Switch as just like the home console type one, even though like it can still be used as portable. Like, I can't see anything wrong with using it like that. Like, and it is $100 cheaper, so I can see value in buying a Switch that's $100 cheaper, has longer battery life, and like being able to just permanently take it on the go and not have to worry about like docking it or scratching up the screen on the dock, which is a problem with the base Switch sometimes. So yeah, I would probably definitely pick it up. How about you? Would you pick up the Lite?
So for me personally, I wouldn't, but I do say it does look appealing. For me personally, I am to the Switch Pro. It has not been confirmed yet, but if and when it gets confirmed, I'll be looking more so to that, depending on how the upgrade is, because it's probably most likely a marginal upgrade, nothing major, like maybe like 1080p screen, for example, or better tech in the hardware overall to make it better. It's gonna be a bit more expensive, but due to that increase in tech abilities, it will be a lot better, or it's going to be at least better and maybe worth purchasing again. I wouldn't expect new features, for like Nintendo Online, like voice chat. I wouldn't expect that. Good game, by the way, and I wouldn't expect that with this new upgrade, because those features can actually be on the Switch, the current Switch we have now, due to being more powerful than PS3. PS3 was able to use that those features.
Yeah.
But the Switch doesn't have Nintendo, deciding to use it type of thing than the hardware. So I wanted to kind of get that point across as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think this, like it works, and like I don't expect any like extreme advances in either the Lite or the supposed Pro that has yet to be announced. But like I don't really feel like they could like really put any substantial like software upgrades on it, like in terms of like party chat or anything like that, to really, because if they do it on one, they have to do it on all. So I really feel like upgrading one to do something, I don't think that's the way Nintendo's gonna go with it. It just
I
wouldn't work
completely
for
agree.
them. And on the topic of the supposed Pro, like, when do you think that we could possibly see an announcement for one? With the
I
many
personally
being announced now.
Okay. I personally think that we might see the announcement next year, and I think that because they want to give the Switch time to breathe and reckon those sales, and it will completely dominate this holiday. By the way, too, it's all these games coming out. You just mentioned Pokemon, Sword and Shield, as well as like Selene and the Animal Crossing for next year. I think they want to focus on that for this year, and then maybe this time next year we will see the Switch Pro be announced or whatever that next one is. And they're going to add, and that's going to be big. And I think also this is kind of like my theory too. I think Breath of the Wild 2 could be a next year game, and they could advertise the Switch Pro with that game as like the big upgrade type of thing. And Breath of the Wild 2 made it look nicer and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
So I think that would be like a possible theory that could happen.
Yeah.
What's your thought process on that?
I was going the same route you were going, like a next year announcement, and the idea of showing it off with Breath of the Wild 2 does make a lot of sense, being as that would just like announced, so, and that would like show off what the new like, Switch Pro could do, since this game is gonna look amazing, probably. And on the Switch, it would really show off what the Pro can actually do. And on the
Yes.
topic of the price point, since the Mini is $100 cheaper, do you think the Pro is going to be $100 more than the base one?
I'm actually glad you brought that thing. I think it's gonna be more. I think no more than 100 more. I'm thinking more so 350. I think that's a sweet nail. I don't think they want to go anything above 400 because then again, it a bit too expensive.
Yeah.
Because some people are already expensive 300, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's some people are thinking that. But you know, raising the price up more, especially we don't know what kind of upgrade it will be. It could be just a very minor one. So I can't imagine it being any more than 400 and no lower than 350. That's my thought process.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I can't see it being any more than 400 either. Like, if it's more than that, then I really feel like no one will buy it unless it's like really amazing. But at that point, then what's the point of even having a Switch? Because you can just buy any other console for that price. So yeah. And on the note,
And that,
oh, you go.
oh, sorry, just one last thing about
You're good.
this Switch Pro is that I wouldn't personally expect it to be anything major. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's not gonna. It wouldn't be in level PS4. I think it's a little too soon for that. I think the hardware is not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, just kind of remember 3DS era about that. It wasn't like a major upgrade with the new Nintendo 3DS, but it was like it was a decent upgrade. So I wouldn't expect anything too major with the Switch until like the next generation Switch, next like, Switch 2, for example.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I just want to make that point clear.
And on the note of the Switch Lite, have you heard any like? Have they received any like backlash? Because I haven't heard anything, or like, are people unsatisfied with the Switch Lite?
Yeah, unfortunately, some people I say will upset or complaining on Twitter, for example, about the Switch Lite. And how I see it, I think these guys are thinking in terms of the gamer side of things, which I could completely understand. Me personally, I prefer the Pro, but I understand, like Nintendo standpoint, that they want this device out because it will rack in even more sales than the current. So it'll do, I say, just about maybe a bit more because it's even more quality, more accessible for children, and that is the key. Nintendo is already doing a good job of marketing towards like the more adult crowd, but they want to rack in more, you know, with the parents buying it off for the kids and everything. Because $300 is kind of hefty for, so
Yeah.
that 200 price point is a sweet spot, and I think they nailed it there, and will rack in more sales. On the gamer side of things, they see it as downgrade because we already have all these features. We can, you know, dock it. We can play it portably already. We already like this. Like, oh well, it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be smaller. But I think those people are kind of, you know, they're not completely wrong, and I do agree it is a downgrade for the most part for us. Like, if you already have a Switch, but you have to look at you have to look at, you know, the other audience there that isn't, you know, as vocal, but want to switch or young children, and their parents would want to buy more than one Switch. So it's more so people, you know, upset and looking at it one way, but they're not looking at the full angle. I don't know if you had like an opinion on that as well. That's like
it works. Sorry. Like, that's like my same point of view too. Like, with like people like from the gamer standpoint, it does make sense. Like, it's smaller screen. Like, they might not want a smaller screen for it. They can't be docked. You can't even put it on a bigger screen. So it does make sense from a gamer standpoint that it's, in a gamer standpoint, it is kind of essentially a little bit weaker than what a gamer might want. But from like a family standpoint, it is the perfect console for any like small child just starting out with like a console, just getting into it if they don't want like a 3DS or something in like the other handheld devices route. Like they can get them a Switch Lite and it'll start them off and it'll still be able to play the majority of the Switch library. So I can't really see the I can see why people wouldn't want it, but then again, I can see why a lot of people would go ahead and buy one.
At the end, and I'll make this point too, is at the end of the day, the sales are, speak volumes. And I think that's what a lesson everyone could take is that, people will complain a lot on the internet, and that's something I think everyone can relate to. But at the end of the day, when that Switch Lite comes out, the sales will tell how successful it'll be and if people are right or if Nintendo's right. I personally think that doing the right thing here. I think that this is a genius idea. I think they should, continue making these smart decisions. When it comes out, we will see them most likely skyrocket because it's the Switch portable. You can play all the Nintendo Switch catalog games for the most part, and have a blast. So, you just gotta wait and see on that one.
Now, one more small point I noticed on the Switch Mini that I really wish they put on the regular Switch is the D-pad. I love that they put an actual D-pad on it, because I just like the D-pad a lot more than the directional buttons that we have on the main Switch. I don't know what your take is on that. I don't know if you like the idea of a D-pad or directional buttons more.
I'm actually really glad you brought that. I forgot about it. But yes, that is a big plus for me personally. I think that is what this. I understand why they had the Switch, the D-pad the way it was on the original Switch, the 4 directional buttons. I understand why they did it because they had to make it, the same for both sides of the Joy-Con. But I personally think this is a genius idea, and people are already having D-pad on the Switch Pro controller because that one's a little weird. And the one on the Switch is is separate instead of the regular D-pad that they always had. This is doing this on a great because one of the times people buy it because they want a regular D-pad for Joy-Con, while having to buy the third-party ones, which they have issues. So I think this is smart on their part. I still think personally though they release a Joy-Con official with an actual D-pad. I think that still needs to happen. I don't know when it'll do it, but I'm hoping they do it soon. But this is a step in the right direction as far as it's something a little D-pad. I think it's a good.
Yeah, like that's just something small I noticed on it, and I really thought it was like a pretty good idea to bring back the actual like D-pad for the Switch Mini because it does fit. It just seems like it matches a lot better than throwing 4 directional buttons on it. Do you have any other points you want to bring up for the Switch Lite or the Switch Pro?
Excuse me.
Do you have any more points to bring up for the Switch Lite or Switch Pro?
Nothing that I can think of at the moment. I don't know if you had any last points yourself.
No, I can't think of any last points personally. I think we've said everything we think right now and everything we know right now. And once this, like you said, once the sales come out for the Switch Mini, then we'll be able to see whether or not the gamers were right or if Nintendo was right all along with bringing out this Nintendo Switch Lite. You want to close this with a final point?
Yeah, this is. I think Like I said, this is a great idea. I can't wait to see how this goes. Like, it's just always exciting. These kind of moves, and moving in the right direction, like smart moves. The Wii era, a lot of mistakes, but they made it a nice comeback this with the Switch season. This Switch Mini will definitely help get them to astronomical sales, especially when a lot of these games come out. It's going to be insane to see. I can't wait.
Hmm. Well, I guess that wraps up our Nintendo Switch Lite discussion and our little throw-in Nintendo Switch Pro. And I guess we will catch you guys in the next discussion video when we get more surprising news from Nintendo.
Oh, take care, guys.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you would like, comment and subscribe to see more, and I will catch you guys in the next one.